and your prayers and your support as we continue to preach the gospel to all the nations and continue to stand in front of the gates of hell and redirect traffic. We're so grateful for you and your decision to partner with us. And I want to also invite everyone watching to join the Circle of Champions, where you can be a part of what God is doing through the ministry, prayerfully, financially supporting us, and also in that giving you maybe almost like a behind the scenes kind of monthly bonus content as well to encourage your spirit in seeing how God is continuing to use the ministry of Life Without Limbs to be his hands and feet. This month, for the Champions for the Brokenhearted topic, we are talking about bullying, an issue that has been close to my heart for most of my life, but also now as a father of 4 and always reflecting back as I continue to speak on many stages globally through education systems about this topic. My heart's just getting heavier and more concerned, especially for our youth, with the last 3 years that have passed us, as many of the young generation is really isolating themselves from even talking to anybody about our feelings. We've gone from face to face, not just phone on the voice calls, but just text. And no matter what age we are, we know that going from voice calls to text makes it really easy and simple to hide our depression, hide our addiction, and hide whatever we feel inside from everyone. You know, face to face, someone says, "How are you?" Different than a text. And I want you to know that today, it's no luck, chance, or coincidence that I am speaking to you right now. And some of you know this year, we've been interviewing some of our amazing friends, some interesting champion nonprofit organizations who are making a difference in the different topics that we've chosen for the brokenhearted. But I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be the person to just share with you my 20 years of experience personally, seeing young people from the approach of the aggressor or the person who starts the bullying to also the accomplice of the bullying to the victim of the bullying itself. I want to help you understand that it's not just a one-dimensional linear conversation. And I know for me, from a personal experience, not just as a child that did lead me to an attempted suicide at age 10, but also as an adult where I do see bullying continuing to grow. So the question is, where did it really continue to grow? Has it stopped in some parts of the world or not? Well, unfortunately, our world is full of human beings, and every human being does have a human nature. Human nature is selfish. Human nature, we kind of look at other people and not just judge other people on their status or their, popularity or how intelligent they are or who clicks with who's now dating this girl and this. Look, listen, man, when you're in school, like middle school and high school, the average relationship only lasts about 2 weeks, 3 days, and 45 minutes. And it's like, it's so shallow. You know that true love is not when you're just intimate with someone. It's when you say, "I do," and you get married to that person and you stay together and you know that divorce is not an option. Why do we know that divorce is not an option? You read in the Bible what God says about the family unit. You read in the Bible what it says about divorce. You read in the Bible how important it is to have a father figure in your life. What does the Bible say about bullying? Well, what's interesting is I think that the tip of the spearhead for breaking a country and dividing a country was first of all dividing within the home. What did that look like? Hollywood media, TV shows, and movies, I want you to know I'm not actually getting off track of bullying. Just listen very carefully. It's dividing of society through the nation, starting with the home, and actually bringing sensationalism to something called division, where emotional affairs were seen as entertaining, or even cheating, or even thinking of cheating on your spouse. Same thing with bullying. It was the beginning in the home and also then spread to the children in the home, where it was entertaining and acceptable then therein, where siblings would tease each other, where people in TV shows would tease each other. It's entertaining. Same thing with comedy, saying the F-bomb every sentence. It's acceptable. It's sensationalism. And so with media, with social media, with what we see other people do, what's really interesting is I tell parents all the time, do you know that outside of mom and dad in the home, the second most influential, if you will, lead in a child's life is media, social media, their friends? That's right there, the three-legged stool of what's really going to influence your children's decision-making process. And so when we are thinking, okay, wait a second, Nick, this is too much information. No, what I want you to understand, because I know that parents are watching this too, it is good to put boundaries on how much your children watch technology, go on social media, and movies. It is good to put healthy boundaries on what types of media they watch as well. And I want you to know that you think maybe me telling you, listen to your parents a little bit more and you're a teenager, that's not cool. No, listen, I'm going to tell you right now. You might think that you know everything and the world is around you and there are so many other smarter people than my mom and my dad. Now listen, there are some values and principles that I'm teaching my kids that I hope your parents are teaching you. And if they're not, I want to teach you them. And I want you to know that some of you actually might be saying, Nick, the biggest bully in my life is actually my mom. The biggest bully in my life is my dad, but he doesn't bully me. He just shouts at my mom every day. When we see bullying, where do we go? When we feel bullied and we feel like we're in a dark room, where does the light come from? Well, first of all, I want to tell you that even though I had a loving home and I went to church every week, I allowed the biggest bully to almost kill me. You want to know who it was? The powers and principalities of darkness that allow my head to echo the lies of the world. You go to school and someone teases you, it only takes 3 seconds for someone to put you down, but you lie awake in bed listening to that echo. You're not good enough. You're ugly. You'll never ever be anybody. There's no greater plan. There's no greater purpose for you. You think God has a plan for you? No way. And those were the voices that were in my head as a little child. Now you might look at me and say, wow, how could anyone tease anybody for having no arms and legs? Nick, if you came to my school, I'd never tease you. Really? Would you actually be someone that if someone teased me, that you would say to the aggressor, stop, and that you're telling me that you wouldn't be one of their accomplices, where you're actually just laughing along, or at least you don't do anything? If you don't actually stop bullying, you're part of the problem. Isn't that interesting? The whole delineage of going to school and witnessing bullying. Where are you? If you're not the aggressor, you're not the victim, are you the bystander or are you someone on standby? And why do you even fool yourself today to tell me, for real, that you would not allow bullying to happen to me? Why? Because you think that you would feel sorry for me? Why? Only because I have no limbs? What about the people that are being teased at your school today who have no dad, or whose mummy's in a wheelchair, or has cancer, or actually they have an abusive father, an alcoholic father, who never gives them attention when they go home except for when they do something wrong? They might be physically abused. They might be verbally abused. Do you know that 1 out of 3 girls in America up until age 17 has been sexually abused, and 1 out of 5 boys in America up until age 17 have been sexually abused? What if the chances are that 30% of the people that you're not standing up for who are actually victims of bullying are actually being sexually abused at home? Why don't you feel sorry for them? Well, if I only knew. Now that you know that you don't know, now will you do something different? Is it that there is some measure of suffering that someone needs to go through before you pull out the card of grace? Before you actually become a champion for the brokenhearted? How broken does someone's heart need to be before you stand up for them? How broken does someone need to be at your school and show you signs of suicidal thoughts before you actually start praying for them? It's interesting that Jesus couldn't do any miracle within his sphere of influence without faith and compassion. Let's start with compassion. Let's not talk about bullying in the head intellectually and knowledge and understanding and wisdom. Let's talk about the heart. Was Jesus a champion for the brokenhearted? You better believe it. You better believe it. He came for everyone. He didn't come for those who could button up their own shirt and look clean on the outside. He came for the broken. He came for the lepers. He came for the blind, the outcast, the demon-possessed, the addicted, the afflicted, the oppressed, the abandoned. He came for the bullied. And he himself, out of all people, was Jesus not bullied? Was he not persecuted? Could he not have been someone who therein also understands with a compassionate heart what verbal abuse is, what physical abuse is, what abandonment is, even from his father as his father turned his face away? Talk about the person who understands bullying. Someone who is not just a bystander. Would Jesus allow someone at his school be bullied and just walk away? No, that's the hypocritical Christian. That's the Christian who goes to church on Sundays and prays for the naked but doesn't give clothes to the naked. That's those who go to church every Sunday and gather at the youth weekly and say that they're a Christian, but say the F-bomb and are sexually active, thinking that they're saved. That's the Christian who actually would start and spread gossip and think that it's okay within the church. Hypocrites. Blind, numb, deaf to the Holy Spirit? Do you see why we chose bullying as a topic for the brokenhearted? As I've spoken around the world, let me share with you what I do know about your school. By the grace of God, I've had the incredible opportunity to actually do anonymous surveys in nearly 300 schools. I had everyone in the room bow their heads, close their eyes, and put one hand in the air. And I asked them if their answer to my questions was a yes, to simply put their hand in a fist. The first question was this: put your hand in a fist if you had thought of committing suicide. 6 to 12% pre-COVID had thought of committing suicide. Imagine 6 to 12% of all your school students, your peers, have thought of it. 3 to 6% of everyone you see at school had already attempted it. You can't see who they are. You don't know who they are, but they are. They're there. They have tried. And 40% of the reason why they've tried is because of a brokenness at home. 40% because of bullying at school. And that's why, after doing an anonymous survey at that school, I then tell the school the results. And I tell them that if a speaker came to my school and told me that a certain amount of students in my school had already hated their life to the point of an attempted suicide because of bullying and gossip at my school, I reframed the conversation to say, if I was you, I would make a life-changing conscious decision to never be part of bullying in any way, shape, or form whatsoever, ever, ever, ever again. You want to know why? Because it's not worth it. It's not worth the humor. It's not worth the entertainment. It's not worth your ego. And it's not worth you maintaining a reputation of being the person that's okay with something that's actually not okay. If it's bad, why do people do it? Because of the devil. Because the devil. Wasn't Eve bullied by Satan? Then Eve told Adam, well, we compromise. It was the devil altogether, but sometimes you're either the hands and feet of light or you're the hands and feet of darkness. And the darkness doesn't flee. The darkness doesn't move. The only thing that changes is when the light shines. And for me, I want to be the person that moves in the light of Jesus in my school. Now, it's not to say that you're not going to have some conflict and, oh, well, we disagree and this is that. I'm just being bullied. No. stay mature, stay sharp. When you have a problem with someone, don't just frame everything as bullying. Stop playing the victim card when you shouldn't be playing the victim card. Be mature, have intellectual, mature conversations. When there is conflict, find the resolution, have a mediator in between. Not everything is bullying, okay? And just because someone doesn't agree with what you believe, don't bully them by shunning them away and judging them because you think they're judging you. Just because I'm not Muslim, don't judge me for being Christian. Just because they're Muslim, I'm not going to judge them for being Muslim, and I'm going to remain as a Christian. I'm not going to change my belief system just because there's a Muslim who won't change theirs. Does that mean you can't be friends? No. You can be friends. You can be friends with everybody else. Now, should a Muslim get more of a spotlight at my school than a Christian? No. Should the Quran and should the Bible be taught in every single classroom at every single school in the country? No. You can go out and find and discover whatever belief system